Note: this sitting took place on the morning of the day on which Richard Hodgson died. His death occurred in the late afternoon or early evening. Sitting of April 17, 1906. This sitting took place in my own private room near Copley Square, Boston. The earthly friend means Dr. Hodgson. The General.
Hello, hello, hello. Well, 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 well. What have you got to say to me?
Who is this?
Well, well, well. Hello, Anne. Where did you come from? Where did you come from? I should like to know where we are, where you are, where we all are, where I am. Well, 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 well. I am the General. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. And you did not know me, did you? Well, I never thought the time would come when you would not know me.
Well, wait a minute, General.
What are you doing? Writing?
Yes.
Oh, I see. Well, well, well. You were always writing. Were you ever doing anything else?
Now, General?
Yes, yes. Tell me not in mournful numbers. Life is but an empty dream, and the soul is dead that slumbers, and things are not what they seem. Life is real. Life is earnest, and the grave is not its goal, not enjoyment and not sorrow, was not, no. Dust thou art, to dust returnest was not spoken of the soul.
You have not forgotten your poetry, have you?
No, and I never shall.
General.
Yes? It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am master of my fate, I am captain of my soul. That is not original, but I love it.
Now, General, do you know you spoke so much like the earthly friend when you first came?
Well, he was right beside me, and he was so determined that he would speak first. I was trying to see if I could not get him to give his consent to let me. Without him. And he first entered, and then he stepped aside and let me enter. And that was how that happened to be.
Then that is the reason I did not quite recognize you at first.
Well, I forgave you long ago. I don't lay that up against you. I know it is difficult because you cannot see me. You see, being a spirit, I am so fine. My ethereal body is fine and so finely constructed and all, that you cannot see it with your mortal eye, but with your spiritual eye, you could see me plainly. Are the children all well? Are you well? Busy? Busy as a bee.
Well, wait a moment, General. I am sorry I cannot talk faster.
Talk and write too? Well, the body has its limitations, you know.
Yes, I guess that is so. Now you said, where are we all? Now I want to know if you know where you actually are, in this spot this moment?
At the present moment?
Yes.
Well, may I look around a bit and see?
Yes.
Well, now just give me time.
Fingers of hand touch my face. Rest a moment over my own hand. Then find cabinet-size photograph of my communicator in gilt frame, which stands on table within easy reach. This occupies only a minute or two. Then emphatically,
Ha ha. You can't fool me. I am in your room. That is myself. That is myself.
yes.
I am in your room. Well, I am more pleased than I can say. This is an unexpected pleasure and a perfect delight to me. Well, I must say I am happier for it. How does it happen? Perhaps you need not take the time to explain. Perhaps somebody else will do it for me. But I am just a little bit in a quandary to know how it happened. Oh, what a fool I was. I did not know, I did not realize that I should live again. And of all things I least expected to return.
The daughters of the light were ill, and so the light has remained away from them, and the meetings have been in this room of mine for some little time past.
That is the reason why I was so attracted here, that I begged Rector to arrange for me to speak to you.
I see.
I had all I could do to keep from interrupting each time lately.
Yes.
Well, that accounts for it. You see, that helps me to understand? Thank you very much.
This was the first private sitting of my own, which took place after the passing out of Dr. Hodgson, although I had attended many sittings during the winter as assistant and recorder, and had been recognized by the Hodgson personality, for it must be understood that Dr. Hodgson purported to return through Mrs. Piper very soon after his death. That is a matter, however, which I am leaving for others to present. But his manner of salutation was something like what appears in the opening remarks of this sitting. In fact, the two personalities seemed to be blended, probably indistinguishably so, to the reader to whom both men were strangers when in life, though the peculiar characteristics of each are quite apparent to me. The profusion of exclamatory greetings is Hodgsonian, while the irrepressible bursting into rhythm is Martinian. Omissions.
Now, haven't you got anything to say to me? I want you to say lots of things to me.
You will let Hodgson come a few moments before.
Oh, he is coming. You cannot get rid of him so easy. You know this is a great big telephone, and I am speaking into it.
Explain it more, will you?
Yes, I will. The telephone is filled with ether from our world, and it is a receptacle, a vessel, and we blow into it just exactly as you would blow a bellows, the air through a bellows to an open fire, and to an open fire, and then we attach a cord, an ethereal cord, to that and talk right over that cord, right into the machine, and make this machine utter our thoughts.
I see. Some omissions. Now, General.
Hodgson is coming?
Tell him to wait a moment.
Yes, good fellow. I am glad to know him.
Dr. Hodgson and my communicator were not acquainted during life, though each knew something about the other. Omissions.
There is a lot more I wanted to say, but I'm afraid I won't have the strength.
Well, the time is very nearly up, and I suppose I must speak with Hodgson. At any rate, I want to.
Well, he is going to, but I am going to see you again sometime. I suppose I must step aside. This is the most wonderful thing in the world today. I must step aside and let this gentleman speak. Goodbye. It is au revoir, not goodbye.
Goodbye, General. This gentleman means Dr. Hodgson, with whom I hold a brief conversation, which I have thought best not to insert. Subliminal. When Mrs. Piper is coming out of trance, there are brief remarks and broken utterances, some of them very clear, some of them in a whisper, some of them quite indistinct and wholly unintelligible. The appearance is as if she were taking a last look at spirits standing near, and as if these spirits, while she is returning to her body, were impressing upon her mind words and messages for her to repeat to the sitter. Some of her broken utterances also indicate her returning perception of her surroundings in the room where the sitting has taken place.
Getting dark. They are all going away.
Muttering something unintelligible.
I wonder what Martin has his hand in it. General Martin is. I don't know you.
Looking up inquiringly.
I can't hear you.
Making great effort to hear.
What? I am happier for it. She'll understand. It is all right with me. I hope it is with her.
It will be noted that I am happier, for it is the same phrase as that used by my communicator through the trance. As if he were repeating to Mrs. Piper's returning spirit some of the same language used to me while she was unconscious of what was being transmitted through her organism. Close. Sitting of June 6, 1906. Permission had been given for my sister Grace, Mrs. Moore, to accompany me on this occasion. She was present at the opening of the sitting and at its close. The General. Some omissions. I have copies of all that you have said to me here, and I do not think it will all be published by the Society, so that leaves the coast clear for me to publish something in my book, and I propose to do that and speak of your life in Boston.
Very good. I should like that very much indeed, because I do not care now. I live to know the truth, to understand the truth and to speak the truth, and the truth will live, and I am not ashamed of my name or anything associated or connected with it. And the truth will bear its weight throughout the universe, and I think it is better to be frank and open and honest with the name. I heard a little music in your room the other evening, and I heard an instrument being played, and I sat in a large chair right near the table. You were apparently reclining.
Was somebody else making the music?
Yes, yes. It was your sister, I think. And you were reclining, and I was sitting in the large chair and listening.
That was lovely.
And I heard it all. And then I heard.
Do you want my sister to come in the room now?
I'm afraid it will interrupt me. I heard Old Oaken Bucket plainly.
Was my sister playing that, or was I?
You were playing it.
Well, that is one of my favorites.
Well, I don't know it at all. I know I heard it. I heard you play it. I caught the air. Then I heard her play a religious thing. Religious piece.
Now, General, wait a moment. My sister is just outside. I think I will call her in, but you need not speak to her unless you wish.
I am afraid it will interrupt me. I thought it might interrupt my thoughts.
When I am alone in my room, I sometimes sit down and play a little bit, and often play the Old Oaken Bucket.
Yes, yes, I hear that. Well, I heard that. Then I heard another little one that sounded like the Suwannee River.
I did not play it.
No, your sister. She played a few bars of it. And then I heard a waltz being played. I think she has a very pretty touch, and I think she sings a little, doesn't she?
Oh, yes.
But why doesn't she sing? I heard her humming, but not much singing to it.
Well, her throat troubles her a little now.
She is not well, but the spirit will improve the flesh.
I do not play much, and do not play often, but probably play the Old Oaken Bucket oftener than any other one piece. I did not play it on the evening referred to. This sitting took place on Wednesday. On the preceding Friday evening, I was in my room with my sister, Mrs. Moore, who was then visiting me, though she had not been with me for nearly a year prior to this visit. A friend of hers called, and during the evening my sister, who is very musical, sat down at the piano. I betook myself to a couch, decidedly reclining. The friend sat in a small rocker, and the Morris chair, the largest chair in the room, which stood near the center table, was unoccupied. My sister's playing is noted among her friends for its remarkably pretty touch, and she has a way of humming at times when she does not feel able to sing. As I remember this evening, she sang in a low tone at first, and finally sang one or two songs in her natural manner. She tells me that she played just a few strains of the Suwannee River on the evening in question, though I did not remember it and could not have told that she did play it. Omissions. Close. Sitting of September 26, 1906. There is on this occasion quite a long conversation with Dr. Hodgson. This, and Rector's talk, occupy the larger portion of the hour. The General.
Here I am. I am delighted to see you. How are you?
I am fine. Don't you think so?
Good. Isn't that splendid? Yes, I think you are. I never saw you better. Did you ask your sister about that music?
Yes.
Well, wasn't I right?
Yes, you were. She played the Suwannee River that night, but I did not know it.
Yes? And you often play the Old Oaken Bucket?
Yes.
Do you know that I am with you when your body is in repose, and your spirit is floating around, conversing with me? Do you remember it when you wake? What are you doing? Are you writing?
General, I have to write down every word. I wish I did not.
Why don't you split the difference and divide your mind?
Well, I will. It hinders me. I think I will drop it now.
I wish you would. You lose the personality.
Which means that I discard paper and pen, sit close to Mrs. Piper, and have an easy, natural conversation with my communicator. Close. Sitting of August 5, 1907. The date of this sitting is a little out of season. Mrs. Piper had just returned from England and gave a few sittings before leaving Boston again to spend the remainder of the summer in the country. The General.
Little rills make wider streamlets, streamlets swell, the rivers grow, and they join the ocean billows onward, onward, as they go. Does that sound natural?
Yes. Will you say that once more? Verse repeated. All right, that is natural. How do you do, General?
Well, how do you do? I do as I'm a mind to most of the time. Do you realize that? Even though I go on in life, progressing in this life, and go step by step, my spirit is improving. I still look back and never a step forward do I go. That I do not look back and live in pleasant memories always, of the olden days. I have enough sentiment in my nature, which has become a part of myself, and my spirit here, that if I sound or seem sentimental, you must overlook it, because it is a part of the spirit.
You cannot be too sentimental for me.
I know your nature, but I say that sentiment is a part, and a finer, higher part, of the spiritual life and its existence. And life is love, and love is life, and life is love. Therefore, it is universal.
Some omissions. In speaking about the mediumistic power of another psychic, he concludes by saying,
Well, ask Hodgson. He will tell you. He's been a great help to me over here, and he's been helping Myers all during the burning of the light. Perhaps you don't know what has been going on?
Not much.
Well, perhaps it is just as well if you don't. I don't know very much about it myself, only I know we are very pleased on this side.
This doubtless refers to the work of the season just closed. Toward the close of the hour, my communicator says,
But I'm going to ask Hodgson what part of his reports he wants you to have, and he will tell you.
The time is up.
I must let him come.
The time is up.
Well, he has got to speak to you. I can't help it. It is not goodbye, only au revoir.
A brief talk with Dr. Hodgson follows, at the close of which he says, God bless you, and stick to it. That is the advice of your old friend R.H. Close. Sitting of November 20th, 1907. There is very little that can be quoted from this sitting. I held conversations with 3 communicators, and my old friend Hiram Hart sent a brief message of remembrance. More than 24 years have elapsed since he passed away. This is the occasion on which my communicator says that delays are dangerous, and he now wishes me to push my work along as rapidly as possible. While advising and urging me, he says, The General.
You are a little bit stubborn. Do you know it? You get an idea and you want to carry that idea. You analyze it, you say it over in your mind, and you're inclined to go back to the first idea. Sometimes the broadest and most reasonable minds are willing to add an idea to their oldest idea and have 2 ideas instead of 1.
Well, I hope I am. Further on, he says,
Imperator calls you one of his children. I suppose you must be.
I am glad to know that.
Well, he watches over you with his all-seeing eye and does not want you to fail or fall into error.
Close. Sitting of June 17th, 1908. The General. Omissions.
You have heard of pearly gates and streets of pearl? Those were as real as any expression which you may use in the physical life. More real. It is a fact. There are streets of pearl, gates of pearl.
Just like our pearl.
It is similar. Yes, the comparison is so near that you could not mistake it for a moment. And our castles, our homes, are real. They are as real to us as yours are to you. Yours is simply the imitation. Ours is the real. We have streets, we have gardens, we have homes, we have rivers, we have lakes. If we bathe in the river, our garments are not wet, but still we are purified, we are cleansed. But the natural hair, but entering it does not saturate our garments, and it does not wet what you call the hair. We come out, and it is light and dry. The garments are dry, but the soul is purified by bathing in the waters. Is that clear to you? We walk about the lakes, we walk in the gardens, we meet friends, we commune with friends, we hear music, we hear sermons, and we pass our time glorifying God and living in His presence, in a sense, understanding what His hand hath created and what He has blessed us with, eternal life.
When you go out of your mansion and look up toward what would be our sky, what do you see?
We see above us, we see our world radiant, filled with light, a beautiful, soft moonlight, difficult for you to comprehend because it is so clear, so beautiful, so light. We do not see what you see, stars. But we see this beautiful moonlight above us, all around us. The air is scented with the most delicious perfume. It is so exquisitely delicate that it seems almost a part of our own existence. It is so beautiful, so delicate, and so real. And we see above us this beautiful light, and it is what you would call, in your world, the heavens. It is above us, far above us, and we see at times, a face appears. It grows lighter at times, especially when we are in a particularly happy state. The face appears over us and we know it is the face of Christ. We hear the swishing of the garment, as it were, and then it passes off and someone else receives the vision.
Do you ever see any other face like that in the heavens, except that of Christ?
We see what you would call, there are saints administering to those who need help, or perhaps have just passed over, have not understood the conditions. And these saints appear to give them courage, and to give them faith, and to show them that this is everlasting and eternal life. I am not very good at preaching.
Then you do not have our beautiful firmament of stars at night?
We have what corresponds to your stars. There are rays, as it were, little flickering rays all through the firmament, all through the heavens. We see these little rays all about us, this beautiful figure passing. We see another face, and then another as it passes. Why do we not come into closer proximity with them, as we say? Because they are superior even to ourselves. They have progressed. They have gone on to a higher, even sphere than our own. That is, they are the controlling, the ruling forces, and govern our own life and our own world. Do you understand?
Yes.
A word of command. Simply a hand is raised. We know its meaning, we understand it. We sense it as a little child would sense danger, or a sensitive animal would sense danger.
Some omissions. Subliminal. I have not exact notes of what Mrs. Piper said on this occasion while coming out of trance, but I have a memorandum that she mentioned the names of nearly all my special friends on the other side, as if she were seeing them: Hiram Hart, the general, my sister Laura, my father, the baby, my grandmother, Pickett. My grandmother holds the baby up, and the baby sends love to its mother. And just then the general picked a rose and handed it to the baby, and the baby was picking it to pieces. The psychic, gradually returning to consciousness, calls this one of the most beautiful sights she ever saw. And the end is not yet. September 1909.